Yo, what's up guys? I just got done watching the Bulls beat the Utah Jazz. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about that game, the Bulls' recent play, also talking about a bunch more news and updates later in today's video. But before I jump into today's video, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Also leave a quick like below today's video. It only takes a second and helps me out a lot. And leave some comments and questions below today's video about all the news and updates I'm about to get into. And also just the Bulls' past 10 or so games and just their recent play. But nonetheless, let's just jump right into it, because like I just did say, I just got done watching the Bulls beat the Jazz, and let me just say, this Zach LaVine is the Zach LaVine that the Bulls gave a max contract to. Obviously, he was coming off a little knee surgery. He didn't really have this past offseason to get into game shape and everything like that. And the other day, he talked to the media and he said for the past 10 to 20 games, he's been feeling really good. And I think that's obvious. You could just tell. And the Bulls did beat the Jazz last night by 8 points. The Bulls have now won 3 in a row, and they are 8-3 since the whole Minnesota Timberwolves halftime situation did blow up. And let me just say, huge shout out to the Chicago Bulls Big Three and their role players. I feel like this whole team just looks much more focused in and out of every given night. They just seem like they want to play basketball and they want to win now, and that's great to see, obviously. I mean, the Bulls Big Three has been playing amazing basketball, especially last night. I mean, Zach LaVine has been shooting lights out. He had 36 points and 7 rebounds last night. DeMar DeRozan also had 35 points and 7 assists. And shout out to Vooch. You know, I feel like he's had a very underrated season for the Bulls also. He did have 15 points, 16 rebounds, and 4 assists. And last night was the first time this season that DeMar and Zach have both scored 30-plus more points in the same game. It's looking like this Bulls team is finally dialed in and they're finally focused and they're just ready to play basketball, especially the Bulls Big Three. It's looking like they're finally learning and playing off one another and playing for one another again. So that's great to see. Definitely leave some comments below today's video about the Bulls' recent play and last night's W versus the Jazz. And now, speaking of Vooch, let's just jump right into the first topic in today's video. This article did come out the other day from Heavy.com and Bleacher Report. And in this article, the Chicago Bulls are being urged to trade Vooch for a playoff push. And this Bleacher Report article did come out January 2nd. And an NBA insider did list one player from each NBA team that needs to be traded, and Vooch was the player named or listed for the Chicago Bulls. And this NBA insider did say, you know, Vooch is 32 years old and he really hasn't fit in Chicago the way anyone hoped he has. The Chicago Bulls are minus almost 3 points per 100 possessions with Vooch on the floor, and the Bulls are also plus 2 without him. But there are many other teams outside of the Bulls organization that are really interested in Vooch, of course, with his passing and three-point shooting from the center position. And if the Bulls are still interested in pushing for the playoffs this season, moving Vooch and prioritizing defense around DeMar and Zach is probably the way to go. And I do understand why this NBA insider did say this. I do kind of agree. I feel like some defensive 3-and-D wings would help around Zach and DeMar. But at the end of the day, Vooch has had a really underrated season for the Bulls. I felt like even last year, even though he did struggle to shoot at times during last season, I feel like Vooch just gets a lot of unnecessarily hate, and I'm all for trading Vooch if the Bulls front office thinks that. But at the end of the day, the Bulls traded for Vooch and they wanted to pair him with Zach LaVine. DeMar DeRozan kind of just fell into the Bulls' laps, and obviously I think we all know you could probably get the most for DeMar DeRozan. But if the Chicago Bulls continue to win games and play like how they have these past 10 or 11 so games, I really don't see any of the big three getting traded. If anything, I see maybe a role player and some draft picks getting traded for some more playoff push help. I mean, obviously, it's pretty easy to just list Vooch as the most likely Bull to get traded because there's been some doubt with his fit surrounding DeMar and Zach and, you know, obviously the Bulls, and he is getting up there in age. He's 32 years old, and also he is a free agent for this upcoming year now. But let me just say, I don't believe the Bulls should honestly trade Vooch. I mean, I do understand if they do, but I also would understand if they give him a, I'd say, team-friendly contract or extension. These past few games, Vooch has played really solid, especially versus the 76ers just the other day. He had a triple-double. I really like Vooch, and I feel like he gets a a lot of unnecessarily hate. I mean, in 33 minutes on the season, he has been averaging 17 points per game, shooting 51% from the field and 37% from three-point range, also averaging 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and almost 1 block per game. Vooch has had a really underrated season. I honestly respect Vooch, and I wouldn't be mad if the Bulls do extend him. Leave some comments and questions below today's video what you guys expect and want the Bulls to do with Vooch. And the next topic in today's video I wanted to talk about was Patrick Williams. I feel like Patrick Williams has been playing the best basketball of his young NBA career these past few games, and the Chicago Bulls are now 5-0 this NBA season when Patrick Williams does score 15 or more points. You know, obviously Patrick Williams is only 21 years old. He did score 18 points in Friday's win over the 76ers after putting up 22 in Wednesday's win over the Nets. Patrick Williams is also having a very underrated season for the Bulls, especially on the offensive side of the basketball. On the defensive side, I feel like he's been playing really good defense all season long. Patrick Williams is now shooting 47% from the field, 41% from three-point range, which is really good, and 93% from the free throw line. I believe Patrick Williams is a key to the Bulls' success. We already know what he does on the defensive side of the basketball, but with him hitting open shots and creating some of his own and going to the free throw line, that really just helps out the Bulls' offense, especially since they've been missing Lonzo Ball. He's just another reliable scorer to take some heat and knock down some threes off the Bulls' big three. I really like the way Patrick Williams has been playing these past few games. Hopefully he continues, because I really like that draft pick the more and more I see him, especially on the defensive side of the basketball. And the final topic in today's video is just some big injury updates. You know, the Bulls did update their injury report before yesterday's game versus the Jazz, and Tony Bradley is out, and he is currently in the league's health and safety protocol. You know, that's not a great sign, and Casey Johnson did report that he was fairly certain this is the first instant that the Bulls have placed someone in health and safety protocol this season. And after that, he did continue, and Tony Bradley has indeed tested positive for COVID-19. It's the Bulls' first case this season. Thankfully, Tony Bradley has already been away from the team for some personal reasons, so that's at least a good thing. He's not by the Bulls teammates or coaches or anything like that. Also, obviously, last night versus the Jazz, Caruso was a game-time decision. He was out. He's been dealing with some injuries for the past few games. Same with Javonte Green. You know, he's had some knee issues for honestly the past few weeks. He's kind of been in and out of the lineup and just rotation. He also missed last night's game versus the Jazz. And same with Derrick Jones Jr. You know, obviously he did play last night. He was probable after tweaking his right wrist versus the Sixers last night. He returned to that game after the injury, but that's just something to keep an eye on. You know, it does seem like Caruso and Javonte Green are going to return soon in these next few games, which is great to see. But even without them, this Bulls team has been playing really well, even on the defensive side of the basketball. So that's a big positive. When they get back, it's just going to help this Bulls team even more. I've been really happy with the way the Bulls have been playing these past few games and past few weeks. If the Bulls keep it up, I expect them to be buyers at the trade deadline and be a pretty hard team to beat in the NBA playoffs. Thank you guys for all the love on the channel in the past few videos. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Have a good one.